been a long
And
way.
back.
It's been a long way.
The
They forgot
Royal
about
Code.
They forgot about us?
I know. Y'all forgot
Nah.
about a king to a prince. We ain't forgot about y'all. We just been getting right. You know what I
Right,
mean? Getting everything ready.
us enjoying this championship for the city. Shout out to
Yeah,
my
buddy.
captain, Jalen
Yeah,
Brunson.
buddy. I ain't got the
OG.
Knicks. I ain't got the Knicks hat on, but I got New York.
Right.
I'm representing the
Yo,
city. You know what I
the
mean?
Yankees looking good too. Don't sleep on the Yankees. We might see
Oh,
another
no,
one.
you know. Come on, man. You know the Yankees is the heart of New York, so you know.
I was saying to Jazz, like, yo, if we could see at least just one more chip, whether that be the Liberty, the Yankees. I honestly don't see the Mets, Giants doing nothing within the next year. But if one of these teams can just pull off another championship within that same 365, like, I think that would be beautiful for the city. That would be
I,
great.
I see how you discarded the Nets and the Jets in there. You forgot the other New York team.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Because it was like, yo, 5 years ago, y'all was all Nets fans. I was like, hey, all right, we did have KD. We did
Yeah,
have
exactly.
KD.
We were looking a little bit different back then. So
They was the Nick Juniors at that point.
so let's talk about it because I know it's been some time, but we didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to speak about it. So what did you think about the entire series with the Spurs versus?
I can honestly say I was worried literally for about the same percentage that the Knicks were like losing. That's the percentage of the series that I was worried, because at every point it felt like the Spurs could win this game. If the Spurs just lock in for a few possessions, they could easily win this game. But I think a lot of their inexperience, a lot of the fight and grit from the Knicks, and just, that overall hunger from the Knicks just wanting it more than the Spurs at that point. I think that's what really showed. But as a fan, it was so hard to really even just breathe, because like at every moment of the series it felt like this game could go either way. We didn't really get any time to really enjoy a lead or enjoy some type of comfortability until like those last few free throws in game 5. So I think it was one of the best final series I've seen in a minute.
For me, I felt like that up actually until the last game. I don't know. It was just something about that last game, because you had certain people that were saying, whether it was like locally or on, TV wise, they kept saying that they think what the Knicks are going to do, they're going to lose in San Antonio and then go back and win it at home. And I said, if you were dealing with another team in the sense of like a team that you couldn't really sleep on as far as the Spurs, because they were so hungry, they were so resilient, and they really wanted to get another win, I would have said maybe that. But I just didn't think at that time, at that moment, it was smart for the Knicks to go down there and not take this serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, it was like, go down there and finish it and just be done with it. If you do win again and we can get another chip, then that would be cool if we could win it at home. But at the same time, it was just like, you really didn't want to play with the Spurs because you really didn't know who could be on, who could be off. And a lot of the times we got to see the Spurs really kind of outbeat themselves because they just kept giving up the game. And that was really pretty much throughout the whole series. They just kept giving up the game coming those last few quarters. But I just thought for the Knicks, it was just best to just go and get this over with. You know what I mean? Celebrate at home, get the chip, come back home, do all that celebration and like that. And then, when you on the road and it's the championship, you both kind of go hard because you want, San Antonio is down, but at the same time, the Knicks know, like, we really don't want. Do we really want to go back to and get back to this and give him another win and then go back home and do it, because you really don't know how it was going to go, But when I started seeing a lot of failures and errors and missed shots by the Spurs, I just kind of said, okay, maybe they are kind of like you know, they're kind of tired at this point. So, you know, the Knicks really took advantage of it. And Brunson, just all hats go off to him because that was just a very strong game for him. Hart, OG, like everybody really played their heart off this game, you know. And then when I started seeing the Spurs throw up those desperation shots, it just brought me back to those times when the Celtics ended up playing the Heat or when the Thunder ended up playing the Heat. And it was like you were dealing with a young core. And you know what happens, what happens when you deal with a young core at that end, everybody tries to play hero. It's hero ball at that point. Now it's just like everybody's just shooting up whatever just to try to get a bucket. When I started to see that out of the Spurs, I was like, okay, this is where it's like they're going down and we're about to take that victory. So, you know, it was definitely a good series. Hats go off to both of them. Some people were saying that Wemby, you know, they thought it was kind of bad sportsmanship that he didn't congratulate anybody or he didn't say. And I'm like, what you got to look at is two things. He just lost at home. And he's young, you know what I mean? And he really wanted this, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that he didn't want it more than the Knicks or he didn't want it more than any San Antonio team, but for him, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, it comes with time. Like he could look back on this in the future and be like, you know, I wish I would have, you know, been a better sportsmanship. But at that moment, like you said, you just lost. Like it's fresh on your mind. You really, really want this. Like the last thing on your mind is congratulating the people that stopped you from getting what you really want.
Exactly.
So
and you gotta remember, he's playing on the team that the city threw eggs at him too. So, you know, right then his mentality was like, man, the hell with y'all.
Right.
You know.
All of New York, man. It was right, like, F all of y'all.
Yeah, but at that moment, I understand. But, you know, one thing I was telling everybody, bro, Wemby is one of those players that we are going to see in the championship. And he's going to win a few championships in his lifetime. You know what I mean? And the core that he has, De'Aaron kind of shocked me a little bit because I just really didn't know where he was at certain times. You know what I mean? And I think by them benching Harper at times, Harper really showed himself as a true and solid point guard, a future point guard for the Spurs. So, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I didn't hear anything as far as them making any moves with De'Aaron or anything like that. So from what I'm pretty much hearing, they're still keeping that same core, maybe adding a few pieces.
Before I give my piece on that, I just want to ask you, who in I think it was game 2, the ball off the back, whose fault do you think that was? Wemby or Castles?
I'm trying to remember. That's when. Break it down for me. Let me.
Basically, Brunson had missed. Then Wemby got the board, and he was about to bring it up the court, but then he threw it off Castle, and it hit off his back.
Castle got yeah. I honestly, I think that was Wemby's.
Yeah, I said the same. I said like if you don't make eye contact, then you know.
It was just like, remember when De'Aaron threw that pass to Castle and it was like he wasn't even ready?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And the last one, do you think D Fox should have held the ball? Do you think he should have like just made the layup? Like if he gonna be
definitely should have held the ball. He should have slowed up. Mm-hmm. He should have known at that point. You know, and something Stephen A said, that's true. Granted, he's never been in a championship, but he's been in playoffs to know. And you're one of the oldest ones out there on the court. You know, at this moment, slow down. What are you rushing for? You know what I mean? Because at that same time, momentum, you know, we've played sports. Momentum can go, it can work with you or it can work against you. And a lot of the times, it works against you because your mentality is like, let's rush. And that's when a lot of errors happen. You know what I mean? So at that moment, I thought, I was like, because I was saying, why is he rushing? Why isn't he? And I wanted the Knicks to win, but just looking at it from a fan and a basketball perspective, I'm like, why is he rushing? I thought that a few times about all of them. I'm like, why is he rushing? And that's when I also noticed about Mitch Johnson when he was sitting Harper. You know, that also tells immaturity in a coach. And Mitch Johnson, don't get me wrong, he's a great coach because he was handpicked by Pop. So he was under, Pop's tutelage. But I just think at that moment, you as a coach, you as a veteran point guard, as a veteran player, that's when you two got to kind of be on the same communication level, and you got to kind of say, like, listen, slow down. I know they're going to want to rush you. I know the defense is going to pressure you. I know you're going to have players that's going to be wanting the ball and anxious, but you have to kind of control the narrative of the game. And he just didn't, you know what I mean? So I think that, and then when you saw Harper kind of taking that role to know when to slow down. But at the same time, his father is Ron Harper. You know what I mean? His father's an NBA champion. So I'm sure at those moments, his father has probably gave him advice, when you're up like that, slow down, don't rush, so yeah.
And I think, last thing we'll say about Fox, I think it is like people do like forget that he was only in like 1 to 2 playoff series, and both of those times it was against Steph Curry, and he lost both of those playoff games both times. So as people like to contribute it as playoff experience, like yes, you can, but he never really had that actually fighting for something moment. It always kind of like he was just like fighting a losing battle because he was never going to be able to beat those Warriors teams that he was going up against. So I think he's also I think the Spurs are going to end up keeping him. I don't think it would be good for like an organization perspective to kind of just like throw him away like that, or like kind of trade him for a piece that they're not sure is going to work out with that team. Because prior to this, people are forgetting like the Spurs were the second best team in the league, like record wise. So they were not, and they made it to the final.
Down the NBA champs. They took the OKC down. You know what I mean? So and the thing about it, that is true. I think now the maturity now. I think it'll be different for De'Aaron this time around. You know what I mean? Because I think the maturity of this happening to him, I think also for all of them, I think they're going to really look back at this and see where and what they did wrong. And one of those things that the Spurs have to stop doing, they have to stop blowing leads that are so large, bro. Like that's just, when you start blowing leads and then they start to become the largest second half comeback or this many points, it's like at some point as a coach and as a player, if you're up 29 points and it's going into the third quarter, or however many, even 15 points going into the fourth quarter, a couple threes will bring this game right back in. So the one thing that you're going to do, and I always say this, basketball is, it comes down to numbers. So even if you're up 15 and they drop and hit a 3 and you're down 12, even if you hit a 2, you're back up 14. You know what I mean? So at that point, you have to kind of try to score and keep those numbers up. It's not always like, okay, they could come down and hit 2 or 3 threes, but you still have to score. And if you're not scoring, you're not playing defense, you're not getting boards, then it's like, all right, you're getting too relaxed and too lackadaisy. And you can't do that with a team like the Knicks. Because one thing a lot of people don't know about the Knicks or remember about the Knicks was always a second half team. Back then when Patrick Ewing and them were playing, they were always coming back and winning in second halves. You know what I mean? They weren't blowing people out in the first half. They were coming back and winning in the second half. I know that's how it was when I was growing up, because we always used to say, oh, we ain't worried about it. The Knicks going to come back in the second half. And that's what they did. And I think they're going back to that style of play. So,
yeah, especially this group that we have now over the past 2-3 seasons, like a lot of the largest playoff comebacks belong to these Knicks, these 2023, 2024, 2025. 26 days. So, it is a testament to us. And, I'm so glad that we won the finals, because if we lost.
Oh, we ain't going back.
The whole. I feel like it would have been a long time. I feel like we would have made some trades. I feel like.
Trades would have been coming.
We would have hit that.
Honestly, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. And then I got 3 points to make. For one, had we would have lost, we might be seeing Giannis in the Knicks jersey this time. 2, Spike Lee deserves a championship ring, honorary, because he's been there before I was born, rocking with the Knicks.
Right.
And 3, let me ask you this. Who, in your opinion, is the greatest Knick now that they've won this chip?
I personally, I have to say Jalen Brunson, because he's done what no other Knick in my lifetime has been able to do. And
I got you.
That was even last year. Even last year, I was saying, as long as he don't win the chip, I still got Melo over him. But now it's an undeniable fact. And, I still hear people that say, and I don't believe nothing that Rick Brunson is talking about Patrick Ewing. He knew Jalen was the best Knick once they signed him. He knew that. I just know that's just his father, like, blowing smoke up his ass. I already know what was going on there. But people that consider Walt the GOAT or the best Knick ever, I can't argue that either, because one, he got 2 of them. He did it in I think it was a 2-3 year span, and he was the leader of that team. So it's nothing that you can really take. I don't think he won one of the Finals MVP. I think that might have went to Earl Monroe or Willis Reed, one of them. But I want to take. But it's like at the end of the day, even and people were saying like, if OG would have won this Finals MVP, if Cat would have won the Finals MVP, anybody else, it's still Jalen Brunson's team. He would have still been that one with the statue. He still would have been the head of the snake next year. So it's hard to say anybody but Jalen Brunson. But
I heard Kenny Smith saying that, after Rick did say Patrick Ewing. Now, what I will say about Patrick Ewing he's the definition of a New York Knick. When you think of New York Knicks, he is, because a lot of people won't remember Walt Frazier. A lot of people won't remember Willis Reed. They'll remember Patrick Ewing. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't even know Phil Jackson played for the Knicks. You know what I mean? So Patrick Ewing was, what I can always say is the definition of a New York Knick. Carmelo, I think, doesn't get props that he deserves as a Knick, because when Carmelo came out there with that New York Knick jersey on, it gave life to that city, because what it did for me was it let them know that real star players and true players want to come to the Knicks, want to play for the Knicks,
Exactly.
So I got to give him his props. OG was the hero during that time period. I give him that, because we needed him to make those plays happen, which he did. But Brunson, you just got to give him, you kind of got to edge it off to him, just for the simple fact of what he did. Remember, he brought him close last year. You know what I'm saying? And then turn around and come back and do it again and actually take it home and win it. That's hard. That's hard for a really one player to turn around. Now, this is not like when we're watching the Warriors or the Cavs
Yeah.
or the Heat. You know, you kind of knew with them, they also had, like, Steph had Clay, KD, and Draymond. LeBron had Wade and Bosh and Haslam, and he also had Kyrie. He also had Kevin Love. He had J.R. Smith. And yes, granted, Brunson has Cat and OG, but you knew when LeBron had Kyrie, you knew they both were going to show up. You knew that Wade was going to show up. You knew that Clay and KD were going to show up. Sometimes we didn't know if Cat was going to show up, but Jalen did show up. You know what I'm saying? So for me, you have to give him that kind of, you got to edge it to him. Not only winning it, not only winning the MVP, but he showed up consistently every time. Like, granted, yeah, there were some games that they were stopping him and they were playing him tight, so other people had to step up. But you knew out of all of those games, out of every games and series that they played, you could probably say Jalen might have not showed up one time compared to 3 or 4 times or 5 times. You know what I mean? That to me is that LeBron Wade type of level, because people are expecting you to show up and people are going to do their damnedest to stop you, but he still is that resilient. So I got to give it to him. You know, I think, like Kenny Smith said, and it's true, you have to put him in the argument now. You can't just not separate him from, you know, from Walt, from Patrick, from Melo, from all these type of players. You also have to put Brunson in that, you know what I mean? Because 10 years, 15 years from now, if the Knicks don't ever win a championship again, people are going to be screaming Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? They're not going to be screaming Carmelo or all these other players. Granted, how great they were, because, you know, one-on-one, Carmelo is beating Jalen. But when you look at what he's done and how he's done it multiple times, you really gotta edge it to him on that. So I'm not mad with him saying he is the greatest Knick. And, you know, Rick is only doing that because, you know, Rick played with him. So, you know, of course he's gonna, you know, he's gonna put Pat up there, you know, so. But
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna save all my comments until when the offseason is done. Mr. Dolan, keep this team together. That's all I'm asking you. You will hear nothing from the city of New York if you do your best to keep this team together. At least the pieces that we need. Everything that you can do. That's my message to you, Mr. Dolan. That's the name that you have earned.
Yeah, because you know he goes from beloved to be hated very quick, Dolan, man. Like, people get very pissed off at Dolan for a lot of the moves that he does or he doesn't do. So, you know, we'll see. But
he's good in my books for right now. As long as
all right, moving on. Now let me ask you this. Let's get into it, man. What do you think about Giannis going to the Heat? Yeah.
I need
yeah.
Coffee to wake me up. That's not moving the needle. That was.
Oh my goodness!
I don't like it. I don't like him and Bam. I don't like any other moves that they trying to put around it. I don't want to see Ja there. I don't want to see. I don't like it. I think this is a Giannis want to be in a big city. Giannis want to be in an environment that he can kind of, you know, show his personality a little bit more than what he could in Milwaukee, which is fine. That's cool. But as a basketball fan, as a basketball move, like, I don't see it. I don't even see anybody that you can kind of add to that team to make them, you know, overly competitive. Besides somebody like Trae Young. Trae Young or an explosive type of point guard that, like, you know, that we really don't even really have those in the league right now that are not, you know, completely attached to their team. They're not going out for sale right now, those dynamic scoring point guards, because every team is either going to hold them close or, you know, they're not going to Miami, because it's like players like Dame, Trae Young, they're not going out there now. It's over. Especially Dame, they already did the Giannis thing. If they would have tried this maybe in Miami with Bam, things are a little bit different now. than what we would have probably seen in Milwaukee. But I don't see nobody that fits here. So it's
like, remember when before Dame went to Milwaukee, he was screaming he wanted to go to Miami. Had they would have traded and had him in Miami and then brought Giannis in, I would have shored it up like, okay, these boys is gonna win. They going to the chips. I don't know if who they're gonna beat as far as on the West, but the West also has to look out for Miami. Now I don't scream Miami is a threat so much that teams on the East and the West have to be out on the lookout for them, because it's like you said, who are they going to bring? Like, okay, you let go of Tyler Hero. You let go of picks. Now you're in a position to where you need a solid point guard. You need a solid shooting guard. Okay, granted, you got Bobby Portis, who can kind of play the 3 and the 4 like that, but at the same time, Bobby Portis is not a consistent 3-point shooter or a consistent shooter like that to where you can say, okay, we can always rely on him. So it leaves you now scrambling for pieces. And like you said, it's like, even if they brought Ja over there, you really still couldn't say like, okay, I would be on the lookout, but I still wouldn't be saying like, oh, now that they got Ja over there, it's just sewn up. It's hard to say that.
They're still not better than the Celtics to me. Even with Giannis right now, they're not better than the Celtics.
They're not, and that's the thing. And it's like, listen, you have Tatum and Giannis, who are two marquee players who need the ball. But the one thing you can guarantee about Tatum, he can shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
something to space the floor. I don't see it.
I thought it would have been better. I thought it would have been beneficial for him to go to the Celtics. I think what happened was, I know because of who Giannis is, he's a franchise player. I think by him throwing out Miami out there early with one of the teams that he would be willing to go to, I think what that did was, like, I think he jumped the gun a little bit too early. I think he should have been screaming more of Boston, even New York, even OKC. I think there was other teams he should have been looking at more as far as saying a big man. Like, if he would have went to the Spurs with Wemby, at least I could have said, okay, well, at least they got De'Aaron Fox and they got Dylan Harper over there. You know what I mean? So they got a solid point guard that can actually get the ball down to them. It would have been, but now all you really got are just really two big men. You know what I mean? So what's really the difference between him and Miami and him and Milwaukee when he had Miles Turner? You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Bam is probably like if Turner is ChatGPT, Bam is ChatGPT plus. Like it's just
that's really that's really what it is. So it's kind of hard to see it.
I don't like it though. I don't think I would have rathered him in Boston because I don't know, maybe it's just me being a Knicks fan. I don't really like seeing players in that Celtics jersey and that green. It's just something that rubs me the wrong way. But I don't think he would have worked with Tatum. I don't think Giannis is one of those players that can play with another top 10 talent that to the point where he just feels like, all right, I can defer. Because he had that problem with Dame. You have a shooter, you have a point guard, you have the type of player you're supposed to defer to. This is Mr. Clutch. He don't want a clutch award. It's like, what more are you looking for when you say that you want to surround yourself with better talent? Do you just want to surround yourself with people that just going to pass you the ball? Because I'm pretty sure you could do that as a team.
And he could have done that in Milwaukee, and they could have figured out and getting pieces still for him. But the thing about it is, I would have preferred him in a Celtics uniform than a Heat uniform. You know what I mean? Like, in that sense. Do I think it would have been a struggle in some senses? Yes, because Tatum is that type of player that he needs the ball just as much, But at the same time, I would have preferred the Tatum duo than the Bam and Giannis duo. So, I mean, it's still early. We'll see. I mean, I know Pat Riley. He's known to do these type of moves because of who
They
he's brought
said,
in the
Pat, get them
past.
brothers up out of there. They said,
I see that, man. I see that.
Alex, y'all gotta go. Pat not doing that. But nah, I mean, we'll see
how
what
this
happens
works
in the
out.
draft. Man, you got a chance
We'll
to
see.
check out any of the draft picks? Who you like?
I actually got to see, because I had to knock out. I got to see the first. I got to see up to Memphis, which I think they were the fourth pick.
Third.
Third pick. Okay, so I saw the first three picks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, they're going to come in and make an immediate impact, but a lot of the teams that they go into with AJ going to the Wizards, with Darren Peterson going to Utah, I think they already kind of have a lot of ball dominant players. Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Utah got Keontae George, Jaren Jackson, Lauren Markkinen. I think it's going to be kind of a difficult fit for them to come in and make that kind of impact, like somebody like Dylan Harper or Con Knipple, Cooper Flag, that made this kind of like instant impact last year. I don't know if they necessarily going to have that. I think they may kind of like, just be some good rotational players right now. But in the future, I do think, those three specifically, and even Caleb Wilson, who went number 4, I think that they're going to be like some generational pieces in the near future.
Now, do you think Peterson was robbed?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. I think, when it comes to that one, number 1, number 2, especially with draft classes that have kind of already been determined, like we've known that AJ and Darren Peterson were going to the NBA for the past 5-6 years now, and they've always been 1, they've always been 2. It's never changed. So it's one of those, and that was a similar thing that happened with Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham. It was always 1, it was always 2, it never changed. So I think once it gets to that, that NBA level, I don't really, you don't really see much of change, because a lot of these players are not, taking too many of a massive leap from high school to college, or what college adjacent team they playing for, so I think that next step, that massive jump to where we kind of see a player like Cade Cunningham versus a player like Jalen Green, you see in that first year, that second year of the NBA. So we'll see. I do think AJ is the better prospect, but I think Darren Peterson is a bit of a better scorer. So, and this is a scoring league. So if you can get to that cup, put up some numbers, that's what people want to see, especially in a city like Utah that hasn't had nothing going on. You go over there, you average 20, 21 in your first year, you bring some life back into that city. It's not even going to really matter who was picked first. You're still making the same amount of money.
And it's crazy, man. I look at Utah. It's crazy because they had 2 top picks each year. You know what I mean? So you had Ace Bailey, and now here you got Peterson. So I think that's gonna be very interesting to look at too. So we'll see what happens.
It's gonna be an exciting year. But I'm making my early predictions. Knicks back-to-back champs. I'm calling it.
Yo, I was looking at. I was kind of looking at determining wherever Giannis was going to go was kind of, control the narrative. But now I don't see the Heat doing it. I don't know, so I might be going back to be a Clippers fan again.
Hopefully,
but I really would love to see the Knicks get back. That would be so dope for. It would be dope not only for the city, it would be dope for the NBA, because remember, the Knicks are one of those teams. I know when I was growing up, it was always, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Boston, the Knicks, the Bulls. It was always one of those squads that were just actually doing everything. So to see the Knicks as like this new, this new millennium, this new age group, I think it's dope to see them and to see them get back. I think that would be good, man. I think it would show a lot for the NBA, and it would show a lot for the city, you know what I mean, to have them back there, because we're so used to, we're so used to the Yankees winning, and we can honestly say we're used to the Giants winning because the Giants have some chips under their belt also. So, of course, nobody's going to catch up to the Yankees, but, it's one of those things to say, okay, Knicks is not only a high-level city, a high-level team, but they're a high-level championship team, and they're proving it. And I think if Dolan can keep this core together and add on a few pieces, that's needed, I think they're going to be, I think it's going to be good, man.
That's going to show other free agents that you can not only win in New York, but you going to want to come play here. You got an owner, a city that's going to take care of you, the fans that's going to love you. So I think this championship was more important than just, like any other regular like championship hanging a banner. It meant a lot for the city and the franchise.
Real quick, before you say that, that's so true. Do you remember when OG got that tip that brought the ball back in?
Yeah.
Did you see the way Cat hugged him? Cat hugged him like, bro, not only did you save my career, you saved the city, but you saved the team. It was like that embrace was more than just basketball. It was like, because I'm sure they were hollering, quiet whispers, we may have to get rid of Cat. He may not be here next year. So by them showing that, you kind of want to run it back and just add on. You don't want to let go of your core
pieces,
5 or 6. You just don't want to do that. So we'll see what happens, man. So definitely. And again, we are back. We are back. Please write your subscription not downstairs, but down there. And we back on. We sorry for the few delays, but we definitely getting everything together, and we will be back. And we please subscribe. Please, we coming back with more topics. It's more than just sports. We talking about life, everything. Thanks. And again, this is the Royal Code, a king to a prince.
Already,
we out.
Yeah, man.